Why were there so many ghost stories in the Chinese countryside during the 1980s and 1990s? Every village seemed to have its own haunted spots that were so terrifying people wouldn't dare to go near them, even during the day. This story is best shared with a good friend, and it happened in 2009. It all started with my second uncle, who was a well-known carpenter in the area. Back then, furniture was handmade, and whenever someone needed something, he would push his small cart filled with tools to their place. Although his conditions were modest, relying on a two-wheeled wooden cart to carry his toolbox, he got by. One night, while returning from a job in a neighboring town, it was already dark. In those days, once it got dark, no one dared to go out. My second uncle was a bit anxious to get home, and chose to take a mountain path to save time. However, the more anxious you are, the more likely things go wrong. As he was crossing a hill, his cart tire punctured. When he checked, he pulled out a bone fragment from the tire. Not knowing what kind of bone it was, he realized the cart was not going anywhere. Coincidentally, there was an old, dilapidated temple on that lawn. Seeing the darkening sky, and having no other option, my second uncle decided to spend the night in the temple and leave the next day. That night, something strange happened. The temple was in disrepair, and the deities worshipped inside were no longer recognizable. The windows were broken, allowing the cold wind to seep through. My second uncle planned to sleep on the floor for just one night, leaving a candle burning for courage. It was a desolate place, and claiming he wasn't scared would be a lie. As the night went on, it got colder. Half asleep, he opened his eyes slightly, and noticed the candle was emitting a green glow. Suddenly, something started banging violently on the temple door. The walls and windows shook with loud noises. At that moment, a large, hairy hand reached through the window. Terrified, my second uncle fell to the ground, thinking he had encountered something unclean in his life for the first time. The creature outside, waving its large hand, tried to grab him. It took a while for him to react. He then took an axe from his toolbox and chopped at the and which fell to the ground with a thud. Strangely, there was no blood. Suddenly, feeling dizzy, he collapsed. When he woke up, it was already noon the next day. He groggily sat up, recalling the events of the previous night, but couldn't find the severed hand. Instead, he saw broken pieces of coffin board scattered around. Hearing no sounds from outside, he cautiously opened the door. To his shock, a large coffin board lay outside, with many axe marks on it. Realizing he had indeed encountered something unclean, he quickly packed up and descended the mountain. From that day on, my second uncle never dared to travel at night again.